go ahead and move on to the next example. In this case, guys, this is a warm-up here. Not a warm-up practice problem, but in this case, I do want you to identify here your horizontal and vertical shift. And in this case, guys, we could graph this. So let me see if I bring up my calculator here, my graphing calculator, and I graph this. I'm going to go ahead and actually start off with f of x. And f of x in this case, I didn't give it to you guys, but f of x here is going to be x squared. So if we do x squared, y equals x squared. And we're going to go ahead and type in g of x in this case. Let's go ahead and do g of x. And parentheses equals x minus a 2. Close parentheses squared minus a 4. So in this case, I actually want you to describe what direction it moved from the original graph, which in this case, I'll leave it as a dashed one. So dashed, let's go ahead and do it dashed. So what direction in this case did it move? And in this case, guys, this actually, let me just take a screenshot here so I can write there. We actually moved 2 spaces to the right, which is 1 and 2, and then 4 spaces down. So in this case, our horizontal shift here would be 2 to the right and 4 down. So that's what I'm asking you there. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next example. And in this case, guys, for the next example, I'm just going to go ahead and go over example 3. Example 4 is the exact same thing. So in example 3, in this case, guys, they want us to use the function f of x to create g of x. And in this case, in order for us to create g of x, we do have to use these transformations here. So we have f of x equals 2 times x minus a 3 squared minus a 1. So first off, guys, I just want to go ahead and do some labeling here. So starting off with the 2 here. The 2 in this case, guys, is going to represent a scale factor or something that's going to multiply. Scale factor or something that's going to multiply. Okay. Then we have the -3 in this case, which is going to represent our horizontal shift. And then we have the -1, which in this case is going to represent our vertical shift. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we're looking for our shifting here. So in this case, guys, for f of x, I'm going to go ahead and write it on the bottom. Equals 2 times x minus a 3 squared minus 1. So first off, guys, it says horizontal shift of 2 to the right. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and do a horizontal shift here of 2 to the right. Now, in this case, guys, once again, whenever we're talking about horizontal shift is always the opposite. So if they're telling me in this case to move to the right, technically that would be a positive number. But when I see that in my equation, it's actually going to be minus. So I'm actually going to subtract 2. And that's how I'm going to go ahead and show it in the equation here. I'm going to subtract 2 instead of adding it in this case. Because once again, it represents the opposite here. All right. Now, next one says vertical shift of 3 upward. This one stays the same. So they're actually telling us to move up 3 spaces. So that's actually plus 3. I'm going to go ahead and add 3 here with the -1. And next thing they're telling us is it's squeezed by a factor of 4. Only thing mentioned in here, a factor, would be our scale factor, which means that we actually have to multiply our leading coefficient in here, which is 2, by a 4. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify this here. And I have g of x equals 4 times 2 is 8. X, negative 3 minus a 2 is negative 5 squared. And then negative 1 plus 3 is 2. So in this case, we're almost done because we do have one more thing. And it says a reflection across the x-axis. Whenever they're talking about a reflection, guys, reflection in this case does talk about making our expression here, or actually flipping it. So for example, if I have a U shape, it's going to be flipped. So it's across the x-axis here. Let's say this here's our x-axis. So then it flips. Now, because it flips, it actually becomes negative. So I'm actually going to go ahead and multiply everything here by a negative. Now, this negative will be distributing to the 8 and to the 2. Only those two. So in this case, g of x is going to equal negative 8 times x minus a 5 squared minus 2. And that there, guys, is our answer. Now, example 4, guys, does work the same way, so I'll go ahead and leave that for you guys to